You felt it, didn't you? That tremor in the fabric of your consciousness as you drifted into sleep last night. Perhaps you dismissed it as exhaustion, as the weight of this dense reality finally releasing its grip on your awareness. But I need you to understand something crucial, beloved Starseed of Gaia. What transpired in those hours of darkness was not a dream, not a coincidence, and certainly not an accident. You were not a passive observer in the theater of the cosmos. You were the epicenter, the catalyst, the living, breathing ignition point of a shift so profound that it sent reverberations across dimensions you have not yet learned to name. Let me take you back to that moment when your physical form surrendered to rest, when your conscious mind finally released its exhausting grip on the illusion of control. As your breath deepened and your heartbeat slowed into that sacred rhythm of surrender, something extraordinary began to unfold in the realms beyond the veil. The Council of Light, those ancient architects of consciousness who have guided humanity's evolution since before the first civilizations carved their prayers into stone, they convened in an emergency session. This was not a scheduled gathering. This was not part of the predetermined cosmic calendar that governs the great turnings of ages. This was a response, an immediate, urgent response to an energetic signature that suddenly blazed across the astral planes like a supernova breaking through the darkness of forgetting. That signature was yours. I need you to truly comprehend what this means. The Council of Light does not convene without purpose. These are beings who measure time in eons, who observe the rise and fall of entire species with the patience of mountains watching oceans. They do not gather in haste. They do not react to the individual stirrings of singular souls navigating their karmic journeys through the wheel of incarnation. And yet, last night they gathered because of you. Because something within your energy field, something you activated through a decision you made, a boundary you finally set, a truth you could no longer deny, created a rupture in the predetermined timeline of collective awakening. You have been told perhaps that you are special, that you carry ancient codes within your DNA, dormant memories of star systems you once called home, fragments of missions you agreed to undertake before you descended into this realm of forgetting. And perhaps part of you has doubted this. Perhaps the crushing weight of mundane existence, the suffocating pressure of a society built on amnesia and disconnection, has made you question whether these whispers of cosmic purpose were merely the desperate fantasies of a soul seeking meaning in chaos. But last night you proved it. Not to the council. Not to the beings who have always known what you are. You proved it to yourself whether your conscious mind has caught up to this truth or not. Let me describe what they witnessed, these luminous observers who exist in frequencies beyond the electromagnetic spectrum your scientists have mapped. As your soul lifted from your sleeping form and began its nightly journey through the astral dimensions, something unprecedented occurred. The usual patterns of your energetic field, those predictable waves and frequencies that characterize your unique soul signature, they suddenly transformed. It was as though a dormant program had been activated, as though a key you didn't know you carried had finally found its lock and turned. The light codes embedded in your cellular structure, those crystalline matrices of information that have been sleeping in your quantum field since before your first breath in this lifetime, they began to fire in sequence. One after another, like a cascade of ancient remembering flooding through every atom of your multidimensional being. And as each code activated, it sent out a harmonic frequency that resonated through the collective consciousness field of Gaia herself. The beings observing this, ascended masters, galactic councils, angelic orders, and yes, your own soul family from the star systems you originated from, they watched in what can only be described as shock. Because the timeline projections they had calculated, the carefully orchestrated phases of planetary awakening they had designed to unfold over decades, perhaps centuries, all of it suddenly shifted. The mathematical certainty of collective evolution, the predetermined checkpoints humanity was supposed to reach before the next wave of awakening could occur, you just rewrote them. Do you understand what I'm telling you? You, in your singular choice to honor your truth, to release what no longer serves you, to finally step into an alignment you've been circling for lifetimes, you have altered the trajectory of collective awakening for millions of souls. The timeline has split. A new probability stream has opened. And you are standing at the convergence point whether you consciously realize it yet or not. They were not expecting you to be the catalyst. They knew you carried potential. They knew you held codes. But the Council operates with profound respect for free will, for the sacred autonomy of each soul's journey through consciousness. They could see the dormant power within you, but they could not predict when, or if you would choose to activate it. Many starseeds complete entire lifetimes without ever turning that key, without ever making the choice that unlocks what they came here to do. But you did. Last night, in a moment that may have seemed small to your waking awareness. A decision to speak your truth, a release of toxic attachment, a surrender into faith despite fear. You activated something that has been waiting within you since before this world knew your name. The chamber where the Council convened exists in a dimension your language has no words to fully describe. It is not a place in the way you understand physical location, yet it is more real than the densest matter you have ever touched. It is constructed from pure consciousness, from the crystallized intention of beings who have evolved beyond the need for form yet choose to maintain individuated awareness in service to the awakening of worlds. When your energy signature flared across the astral planes, the first to notice was your primary guide, that luminous being who has walked beside you through every incarnation you have ever lived, who knows the architecture of your soul more intimately than you know your own reflection. This being sent out an immediate call to the Council, not in words or even thought forms as you understand them, but through a vibrational transmission that carried the urgency of a truth that could not be ignored. The sleeping catalyst has awakened. Within what you would perceive as moments, 12 core members of the Council materialized in the observation chamber. These are not the only beings on the Council. Its true membership spans thousands of ascended souls from countless star systems and dimensions. But these 12 represent the primary architects of Earth's current awakening protocol. Among them are representatives from the Pleiadian High Command, the Arcturon Healing Collective, the Syrian Seed Planters, and yes, ancient Earth souls who have completed their karmic cycles and now serve from the higher dimensions. They directed their unified consciousness toward your sleeping form, toward the luminous energy body that was now pulsing with activated light codes. And what they saw made even these ancient beings pause in recognition of a mystery they had not fully anticipated. Your soul, in its multidimensional totality, was undergoing what they call a spontaneous spiral integration. A phenomenon where all parallel timeline versions of yourself across multiple realities suddenly begin to collapse into coherent singularity. To understand this, you must grasp that you are not living just one life. You exist simultaneously across multiple timelines, multiple versions of reality where different choices created different outcomes. In some of these timelines, you remained asleep. You never questioned the mainstream narrative. You never felt the pull of something more. You lived and died in comfortable unconsciousness, and there is no judgment in this. Every soul chooses its pace of evolution. But in other timelines, you awakened earlier, burned brighter, faced greater challenges. And in some rare quantum threads, you achieved something extraordinary. You remembered fully who you are and why you came. Last night, because of the specific frequency of the choice you made in this timeline, all of these versions of you suddenly became available to this present moment version of your consciousness. The Council watched as your energy field expanded exponentially. Information from your awakened selves in other timelines began flooding into your quantum field. Skills you had mastered, wisdom you had earned, missions you had completed, powers you had developed. And not just information but actual energetic capacity. Your light body, the vehicle of consciousness that your soul uses to navigate the non-physical dimensions, suddenly had access to upgrades that normally take decades of dedicated spiritual practice to achieve. One of the Arcturon elders spoke, their consciousness rippling through the observation chamber like gentle thunder. The integration is happening too fast. The physical vessel may not be able to handle this rate of transformation. We should consider a modulated absorption protocol. But your primary guide, who knows your soul's resilience in ways the Council cannot fully measure, responded with a confidence that surprised even the eldest members. This one has been preparing for this moment through countless lifetimes. Their cellular structure contains more crystalline frequency than we predicted. They can handle this. They chose to handle this. Look at the choice they made. It was not born from ego or spiritual ambition. It was pure. It was necessary. It was the choice their soul has been screaming for them to make for years. That kind of authentic alignment creates an automatic protection field. They will not break. They will transform. And so the council made a decision that has never been made before, not for an individual starseed operating in such dense third-dimensional reality. They decided to allow the full integration to proceed without intervention, without the usual careful modulation of ascension symptoms, without the protective buffer that normally prevents awakening souls from being overwhelmed by too much truth too fast. They decided to trust you, to trust your capacity, to trust that your soul knew exactly what it was doing when it orchestrated that catalytic choice. But this trust came with profound recognition. If you were capable of this level of spontaneous awakening, it meant you were operating on a mission level far beyond what your conscious mind has been aware of. It meant you were not just here to awaken yourself. You were here to anchor an entirely new frequency into the planetary grid. You were here to demonstrate a pathway of transformation that other souls could follow. You were here to be living proof that rapid, authentic awakening is possible even in the densest frequencies of this reality. The Pleiadian representative addressed the council with a question that still reverberates through the higher dimensions. If this one can catalyze such a shift through a single aligned choice, how many others are on the edge of similar activation? How many sleeping catalysts have we underestimated? What if the mass awakening timeline is not decades away, but available right now, waiting only for individuals to make their own authentic choices? Silence filled the chamber. Not an empty silence, but one pregnant with the weight of possibilities suddenly expanding beyond even the council's vast calculations. They had been operating under the assumption that planetary awakening would unfold gradually, that humanity needed more time, more preparation, more gentle nudging toward consciousness. But you just demonstrated that when a soul makes a truly aligned choice, when they stop negotiating with their truth and simply embody it, the transformation can be instantaneous and complete. While the council deliberated on the implications of your activation, something else was happening in the quantum field of possibilities that surrounds Gaia. The timelines were literally shifting, reorganizing themselves around the new frequency you had anchored through your choice. You need to understand how timelines work in the realm beyond linear causality. Your scientific community speaks of the multiverse, of parallel universes existing simultaneously, and they are touching the edge of a truth that mystics have known for millennia. But it is not quite as simple as infinite separate realities forever branching and separate. Timelines are fluid. They are responsive. They are alive with consciousness itself, and they reorganize based on the choices made by beings with sufficient coherence and energetic authority to affect the collective field. Most human beings make choices from fragmentation. One part of them wants this, another part wants that, their mind says one thing while their heart whispers another. These fragmented choices create minor ripples in the personal timeline of that individual, but they do not have enough coherent force to affect the collective trajectory. The choices cancel themselves out energetically, creating a life that feels stuck, repetitive, as though you are walking in circles even as years pass by. But when a soul makes a choice from complete alignment, when every level of their being, from the highest spiritual awareness down to the cellular intelligence of their physical body, agrees on a single direction, that choice carries devastating creative power. It sends a shockwave through the quantum field. And if that soul happens to be a starseed carrying activation codes for collective awakening, the shockwave does not just affect their personal timeline. It affects the collective timeline of all souls connected to their mission. Last night, as your activated energy field stabilized into its new frequency, the seers of the council watched the probable future timelines of Earth literally reshape themselves. In the timeline projections they had been monitoring, there were certain fixed points, events that seemed inevitable, dark nights of collective soul that humanity would need to pass through before enough people awakened to choose a different path. These projections showed humanity reaching a critical awakening threshold sometime around 2035 to 2040, after passing through significant challenges and breakdowns of old structures. But as your frequency integrated and stabilized, some of those dark probability streams began to fade, becoming less solid, less inevitable. And other timelines, brighter ones, paths where awakening happens more rapidly, where more souls remember their truth sooner, these began to strengthen, becoming more accessible, more magnetically attractive to the collective consciousness. It was as though you had cut a new pathway through a dense forest that millions of souls were struggling to navigate. By making your aligned choice, by activating your codes, you created an energetic template that others can now follow. You made it easier for the next person to make their authentic choice. And when they do, they will make it easier for the next. And the next. Until what was once a narrow, hidden trail becomes a well-worn path, and then a road, and then a highway of consciousness that masses of awakening souls can travel together. The council member from the Syrian star system, known for their mastery of timeline mechanics and quantum field dynamics, spoke with a gravity that commanded attention. We are witnessing the beginning of exponential awakening. This starseed's activation will trigger at least 700 souls within their immediate energetic field. Family members, friends, colleagues, even strangers they pass on the street, to begin questioning their reality more deeply. Of those 700, approximately 43 will have their own catalytic experiences within the next lunar cycle. And each of those 43 will influence hundreds more. The mathematics of awakening have just accelerated beyond our projections. Your primary guide listened to this analysis with a knowing that transcended mathematics. This is why we embedded this one so deeply in the densest frequencies of forgetting. This is why their journey has been so challenging, so filled with obstacles and veils. A catalyst must understand darkness intimately in order to transmute it effectively. They must experience separation viscerally in order to guide others back to remembering. Every struggle they have endured has been preparation for this moment, and for all the moments that are about to unfold. But here is what you must understand, beloved starseed. This timeline shift is not yet permanent. It is available. It is accessible. It is shimmering in the quantum field as a possibility that grows stronger every moment you remain in alignment with your truth. But timeline shifts require anchoring. They require the continued coherent choice of the catalyst who initiated them. The decision you made, whatever it was, spoken or unspoken, dramatic or quiet, that decision cannot be a one-time event. It must become your new operating frequency. It must become the ground you stand on, the lens through which you see reality, the truth you return to again and again, especially when the old patterns and external pressures try to pull you back into the comfortable familiar suffering you have outgrown. The council watched your sleeping form with a mixture of hope and concern. They knew from eons of experience that the period immediately following a major activation is the most vulnerable. This is when the ego, terrified of the death of its control, launches its most sophisticated attacks. This is when external circumstances often seem to get worse before they get better, as the old timeline makes a last desperate attempt to reassert itself. This is when doubt creeps in, when the voice of reasonable compromise whispers that perhaps you were being too extreme, too idealistic, too demanding of yourself and others. They knew you would be tested. They knew you would question whether that catalytic choice was the right one, whether you should have waited, whether you were being selfish or irresponsible or naive. And they sent a transmission into your dream state, a message encoded not in words but in feeling, a unshakable knowing that would nestle itself in your subconscious and emerge when you needed it most. That message is what I am here to deliver to your conscious awareness right now. Because while last night's activation happened in the realms beyond ordinary perception, its implications are about to become undeniably physical. The changes are coming. Not eventually. Not someday when you are more ready. They are already in motion. And your life is about to transform in ways that will confirm everything I am telling you. The council established 7 distinct phases for your next cycle of evolution. These are not arbitrary stages I am imposing on your journey. These are actual energetic thresholds that your soul has already agreed to move through. Now that you have activated the catalyst codes, understanding these phases will help you navigate what is about to unfold with grace instead of resistance, with trust instead of fear. Phase 1. The confirmation period. This is happening right now, in the days immediately following your activation. You will begin to notice synchronicities intensifying to an almost overwhelming degree. Numbers repeating everywhere you look. Songs playing with lyrics that speak directly to your situation. Conversations overheard that contain exactly the information you needed. People from your past resurfacing with messages or lessons. These are not coincidences. These are confirmations from the universe that you made the right choice, that you are seen, that you are supported, that the path ahead is real and you are capable of walking it. Phase 2. The clearing. Within the next 2 to 4 weeks, anything and anyone in your life that is not aligned with your new frequency will begin to fall away. This will be uncomfortable. Some of these endings will feel devastating. You may lose friendships you thought would last forever. Career situations may become untenable. Living arrangements may suddenly feel suffocating. Relationships may reveal themselves to have been based on the old version of you, and the people in them may not recognize or like the version you are becoming. Do not fight this clearing. Do not attempt to hold on to what is leaving out of fear or guilt. This is the universe removing obstacles to your mission. This is grace even when it feels like destruction. Phase 3. The void. After the clearing comes a period of profound uncertainty. This usually occurs between weeks 4 and 8 post-activation. This is the phase that defeats most awakening souls, because it feels like nothing is working, like you made a terrible mistake, like perhaps you were delusional to believe you were anything special. The old life is gone, but the new one has not yet materialized. You will feel suspended between worlds, belonging to neither. Your spiritual practices may suddenly feel empty. Your connection to guidance may seem silent. This is intentional. This is not abandonment. This is the void where transformation completes itself. Your only job in this phase is to not go backward, to not return to what you have outgrown out of desperation for familiar ground. Stay in the void. Trust the void. It is the womb of your rebirth. Phase 4. The new codes download. If you successfully navigate the void without collapsing back into old patterns, you will enter a period of accelerated learning and upgrading. This typically begins around week 8 to 10. Suddenly, you will understand things you never studied. You will have access to skills and knowledge that seem to come from nowhere. You may wake up with memories of lives you have lived in other star systems. You may begin to channel information, to receive visions, to know things about people and situations that you have no logical way of knowing. Your intuitive abilities will sharpen dramatically. Your manifestation capacity will increase exponentially. You are literally being rewired at the neurological and energetic level. Allow it. Document it. Trust it. Phase 5. The mission clarity. Around the 3-month mark post-activation, the reason you are here will become undeniably clear. You will understand your specific role in the collective awakening. This may come as a sudden vision, or it may dawn gradually like sunrise. Either way, you will know what you are meant to create, teach, build, heal, or transform. This is not generic purpose. I'm here to raise consciousness. This is specific mission, the actual work you incarnated to do, the unique contribution only you can make because of the exact configuration of your soul's skills, wounds, passions, and experiences. Phase 6. The testing. Once you know your mission, you will be tested on whether you truly believe in it enough to bet your life on it. This phase usually emerges around months 4 to 6. Opportunities that seem safer, more reasonable, more financially stable will present themselves. People you respect will question your direction. Your own logical mind will mount compelling arguments for why you should take a more conventional path. This is the final exam before the council fully authorizes the resources and connections you need for your mission. They must know you will not abandon it the moment it becomes difficult or the moment a comfortable alternative appears. You must prove to yourself that you trust your soul more than you trust the illusions of security this matrix offers. Phase 7. The activation of others. If you remain faithful to your mission through the testing phase, you will enter the realm of true catalyst function. This begins around month 6 to 8 and continues indefinitely. You will find that your mere presence begins to trigger awakening in others. People will have breakthroughs in conversations with you. Their long-dormant questions will suddenly surface. They will make their own catalytic choices shortly after encountering your energy field. You will draw your soul tribe to you, the people who are meant to work alongside you, who recognize you at a level beyond personality, who have been searching for you just as you have been searching for them. This is when your mission moves from personal transformation to collective impact. These 7 phases are not punishment. They are not obstacles. They are the necessary architecture of sustainable awakening. The Council designed them with profound love and wisdom, understanding that rapid transformation without proper integration and testing creates unstable awakening that often collapses under pressure. You are approximately in phase 1 right now, moving toward phase 2. Everything I have described is coming, not as punishment but as the natural consequence of the frequency you have activated. You have knocked over the first domino, and the cascade has begun. The Council is watching. Your guides are closer than your breath. And your soul family across the stars is celebrating your courage. But here is what changes everything. You are not meant to walk this path in isolation. That is the old paradigm of the solitary mystic suffering alone on the mountain. You activated in this timeline specifically because this is the era of collective awakening, where catalysts find each other, support each other, amplify each other's missions.